everybody. This is Rockstar Picker, aka Gypsy. My channel is new and I'm going to be talking about a lot of things. Today I'm going to be talking about the ancestry DNA matches. This message is going to be designed specifically for those who have already taken the DNA test and are waiting for these glorious results to come back that's going to find their daddy, their mommy, their grandparents, their siblings. And this is my message to you, and this message is because of what I went through and what I learned going through the same process where you're at today waiting for these tests to come back. So you got to understand, and I know that most people searching for parents, mom and dad, or so-called birth parents, it's very sensitive. Even siblings. There's money, could be money involved, there could be inheritance involved. Those siblings aren't going to be happy when a 40-year-old sibling, sister or brother comes up and dad is ready to kick the bucket in a few years and they're going to share their inheritance with you. No, they ain't having it. So there's many reasons. I'm just trying to give you a couple, and I'm not discouraging you. Do not get discouraged. There's many happy endings. Many happy endings where they meet their birth parents, they meet their biological parents, and everything works out all right. But there's many that don't. There's no book, there's nothing that I knew of to prepare me or you for when that time comes that you get those results and all of a sudden you see you got a match. It's a sibling. Oh my God, I got a sister, I got a brother. It's a match. It's my father, it's my mother. And then all of a sudden you're thinking, I'm going to send that magical message. How am I going to write that message to those special people that I've longed for in my whole entire life? And in your mind, you're not realizing that they might not want to respond. They might not know how to respond. Some, it might take them a year or longer to respond. A lot of people are remarried and they don't want to open up the Pandora's box of the past. So what am I trying to tell you? I'm trying to tell you, keep your mind open and hope for the best. Pray for the best. But remember, they can turn you down in a heartbeat. And all of a sudden, on the magical screen, on the other side, there's something on that DNA saying, that's my dad, that's my mom, there's my grandma, there's my siblings, and they don't want you. It will rip your heart out. You will cry. You will even have a nervous breakdown. I can attest to that. It is very painful to be rejected once, then to find them and be rejected again. But you got to understand what is going through their minds. They have new families. They moved on. They're not expecting you to come out of the woodwork. A lot of people, dads, fathered a child that they knew nothing about. They never knew. They were with this woman. She got pregnant. She never told him. He had no clue. So there's so many scenarios to this. And my message is to you to be prepared. Because nobody says, what if they don't want you? Okay. What if they do? Wow. All of a sudden you got siblings and you got maybe step parents, and I mean your whole world is going to change. It's going to be stressful, even if it's a good stress, even if they accept you. And if they don't, it's going to break your heart. So my message to you is, while you're waiting for that DNA result to come, that you're going to give it a lot of thought, a lot of prayer, a lot of you need to meditate and say, okay, if they don't respond, if they decide and they respond and they don't want a relationship, what am I going to do? Now for me, I think it's better that you know up front the possibilities, and then later on you're like, wait, it's not supposed to work like that. They're supposed to want me. I'm their child. I'm their daughter. They're supposed to want me. They're supposed to love me. Guess what? It don't always work that way. Even for the parents that knew about the child, it don't always work that way. But I believe, and this is, I guess, for the ones who were adopted, I believe adoption is one of the hardest things that a parent can do, that a mom or a dad can do. You got this most likely young girl pregnant in a bad situation and don't know what to do. And then she gives this child birth, gives this child life, and then gives her up to a good, loving home. And we hope in most cases it was a good, loving home. And an experience so far talking to other people, it has been a good, loving home. And a lot of adoptees wait until their parents pass away before they even go and search for the biological parents. But it's not that you weren't wanted. Maybe it's that you were wanted and there was just no way they knew they could afford to take care of you. For me, I remember when I was a small child, there was not enough milk. There was not enough so-called formula. Back when I was a child, they were mixing canned cream with Caro syrup and water. That was our baby formula. And we hardly had any. My mom was very poor. My grandparents were very poor. And we went hungry. So I think it's the most loving thing to do to give up a child for adoption. So, I mean, this is not about adoption. This is more about the ancestry. I mean, the DNA matches. But you just got to know that you are all loved. And when I went to get records from the courthouse one time, there was a record that had one of my birth records in there. And it was a vanilla folder. And stamped on the vanilla folder, I was born in 56. Stamped on the vanilla folder was the word B. The B-A-S-T word. And I'm not going to say it. It was stamped on this vanilla folder in giant red block letters. And it made me think, that's who you are. You're illegitimate and whatever. It was so painful to see that. And I was 27 when that happened. But I believe that every last one of us, doesn't matter if you were adopted, doesn't matter if the dad didn't know about you, none of that matters. I believe we're all meant to be born, whatever the circumstances, and that we are just as special as those ones out there that had the mom and dad. So you just don't know the life that you might have had with them early on. It might have been a bad life, and maybe that was the good life that you were given, to have not be with that person. So maybe there's so many scenarios, so many possibilities, so many ways, so many whatevers for each and everybody has a different story. But everybody's story is all the same in the end. Because when it all comes down to it, we're all searching for acceptance from that parent, whether you call it biological parent, whatever. So I hope my message is clear. I'm not the world's best speaker, but my heart is there, and I wanted to go live, and I wanted to be able to tell my story so that others don't hurt like me. When I found, okay, so here's my story. So I'm going to fast forward. I found my biological father, and he was happy to find me. He knew about me. He tried to marry my mom, and she already married somebody else. Fast forward. He decided, he came back. He tried to convince her to marry him, to go with him, but by the time he came back, my grandma said, well, she married somebody else, she moved on. And she had a baby, which was his baby. I asked him, why didn't you look for me? He said, well, she made that decision. She closed that door when she married somebody else. I feel that's wrong, but I do feel he did come back for me. He tried. He did give some kind of effort. So I feel very positive about that effort, that he tried. So, coming back and trying to make things work with your child's mother, that's very honorable. So when I found him, I never thought I'd find siblings. Well, it comes out I have 3 siblings. And no names to mention, but pretty much they don't want me. Now, the dad does want me. The dad even took another DNA test, because I found my dad through my second cousin's DNA test. And then it was from her test, it was kind of detective work. And that's how I found my dad. But, so, I knew he was my dad. He knew he was my dad. He knew he was with my mother. But, to finalize the deal, I asked him to take a DNA test, and he did. And he's the dad. And I'm his girl. And that's that. So, one of the sisters told me, let my dad take the test, and if you're my sister, we'll talk about it. We'll exchange pictures. At least that's what I thought she said. Well, it's going over 2 months now, and there hasn't been any telephone call, any acknowledgement. Hey, you're my sister. I know maybe they're going through a hard time. They feel maybe their dad cheated, but their dad did not cheat. Their dad was not with their mom when I was made. And to my knowledge anyway, and it don't matter anyway, I'm his daughter, and they shouldn't hold me responsible for anything. And I try to say, hey, I'm the firstborn, I'm a little more special. But anyway, I was hopeful that that sister would contact me, but she didn't. The younger sister said, well, what if she's emotional wreck or something? I forgot the word she used. Well, hey, guess what? I was an emotional wreck. I didn't have a dad my entire life. I suffered a lot. And guess what? You had a dad, and you got a good education, and you got a good life, and you got a good job, and you got, you had daddy. I had nobody. I had abuse, and I had hunger. So, yous were blessed. And maybe it wasn't perfect. But try living what I went through, and yes, you'll be a mess. And it don't matter, because guess what? I am 50% of what you are. All 3 of my siblings are 50% of my blood is in their veins. 50% from my dad. We all 3 share it. But they don't want me. So, I'm going to respect that. But guess what? Even though I didn't expect to find a sibling, it has put a hole in my heart Because guess what? They are my siblings. And should I say my sisters, my little sisters? I have 3 little sisters. And, what is it really about? Is it really because I'm an emotional wreck, so they think? And it don't matter anyway. I'm a good person. In my entire life, I've tried to be a good person and help others. What have you done? What have you done to help suffering of others? When people suffer as a child, they grow up and they want to help others because they suffered. They know what it's like. You all had it cushy. Happy childhood. Had daddy there. And my Rose went hungry and abused. So, but anyway, let's get off that subject. So, that's where I'm at with my story, and that's why I'm trying to explain to you all. Dad might want you, and the siblings might not, or the siblings might want you, and the dad might not. I feel so cheated, especially when you're older, and you find your dad, and my dad's 83, and he talks to me, and he's very sweet. He's like the most sweetest person I think I ever know. And he's just happy and peaceful and loving and kind. And he sent me a gift in the mail early on. And he sent me a card. And I opened up the card. And it said, even though I'm not the gift-giving kind of person, I wanted to leave you with a keepsake. I wanted to leave my daughter with a keepsake from her father. And he sent me a beautiful necklace. And that card is priceless. He wanted to send his daughter a keepsake because he was never able to be there to give me anything early on. And I still hope to this day I at least get to see him once. Now, I have not met him yet because the distance, he's 2,400 miles away. And I hope I get to meet him, and I hope I get to get at least one hug from him. Or a bunch of hugs over a few days. He has a heart condition, and he already told me, well, I might not last until you can get here. I said, well, that's nothing I can do. So I try to understand, why did God let me find him? Because I started searching age 6. Why is he letting me find him now? So one of my siblings said, oh, she's trying to scam you. Excuse me. Why would you think I'd be scamming my own dad? It's my dad. Would you scam your dad? So why would you think I would scam my dad? What makes it a scam? Because I just find him now. I've been looking for this man my whole life, minus 6 years old. 6 years old, I started asking my mom, where's my dad? All the little kids brought their dad to school one day, but Rose didn't have a dad. It's very painful, and that's when you wake up and you're like, you ain't got a dad. Why ain't you got a dad? So anyway, I can go on this subject. I can talk about it all day long, but it's not going to change things. It's not going to make things better. It is what it is. You get what you get. Regardless, if you get to meet them or talk to them, they're strangers to you. Just like my sister, she said, you're a stranger to me. Well, guess what? You talked to me on the phone a couple times already. You know I'm your sister. You know of me. I'm not a stranger anymore. And show some love. So, but our worlds are completely different. Our worlds are completely different. I'm trying to save the world, and she's trying to run the world. So our lives are very, very different. And that's all good. I'm happy for her. I'm happy for them all. I wish them no harm. I wish them all the best. So, you just have to be prepared. You have to be prepared, because they might not want you. And you have to be prepared if they do. Because you might meet them and you might not like them. That might not be the daddy that you want. You might not like that personality. They could be an addict. You could find them and they could be very, very sickly. How are you going to deal with all this? Well, guess what? You just deal with it. You be happy that you can pick up that telephone and talk to your parent. A lot of people that have moms and dads, especially the older ones, they don't even pick up a telephone and call them and say, hey mom, hey dad, I love you. Pick up the daggone phone and call your parent and say, I love you. Because that chance might not be given tomorrow. Because nobody is promised another day, another hour, another minute. Pick up the phone. Some people haven't talked to their parents or seen their parents in years. Speaking on some of my children, haven't even seen me. So that DNA match is going to either make you happy, it's going to make you awful sad. Or the other scenario is you might not find no matches. Then you're like, I went through all this for nothing. Listen to me. Do the ancestry test. Do the ancestry DNA. If you really want to try to find family, do 23andMe, do MyHeritage, because not everybody does ancestry DNA tests. Not everybody does 23andMe. You might have that parent or sibling on MyHeritage, and you might have ancestry DNA. You really want to find them, do all the DNA packs. Then they tell you something about upload to GEDmatch. I think that's a bunch of crap. Because when you upload to GEDmatch, okay, they will only give you the results of people. Oh gosh, I forgot exactly what it was. They will only give you results of people. I can't remember what it was, but it's limited. It's not, you're not going to get all the matches that you would if you did the other tests completely separate. So, and there's one good thing to know, especially if you're younger, is that these DNA tests are very popular, and it's only going to get more strong. Once you do your DNA test, it's in there forever. And every time somebody, they might not do it this year, they might not do it next year, they might do it 5 years from now. But one day you're going to get an email, and make sure your email, that you always keep that same email for your DNA matches, because one day you might get that message saying, hey, I'm your family member. You got to keep up with it, because it never ends. It never dies. Those results are going to stay in circulation even long after you're gone. So never give up. And that's one word, if I can tell you all. I did this 6 years old to 62. Never give up. Maybe God has his timing or what, when he wants you to find your siblings or parents for whatever the reason. He knows what the reason is. And he's going to fix you maybe at the time is right for you to meet him. Or maybe it's going to be what's in your mind, what's good for you. Maybe you're not ready yet. Maybe I wasn't ready yet. So I hope I helped somebody, and I hope, you could understand everything that I'm trying to say, and I hope I was able to touch all the different subject scenarios that could come along with you doing a DNA test when searching for family members. So this is just one of many videos I'm going to be doing, and I hope that you will push the like button, and I hope that you would subscribe. That helps me to grow, because I'm at 83 now, and when I'm at 1,000, I will be able to go live. So have a blessed day, and hope to see you again. Bye bye.